Good evening. This week, we had a landmark judgment from Supreme Court which ordered a cell phone tower in Gwalior to shut down. Now, why am I calling that a landmark judgment, even though it's a single cell phone tower? Because it's the first one in response to a petition filed by a cancer patient, a 42-year-old man who lived 50 meters away from that cell phone tower. So when he got cancer about 4 years ago, he believed that that was the cause. And he happened to work with a family of lawyers who went to court and fought for it over these last few years. And so it's for the first time that the top court has ruled for a cell phone tower to be shut down. Now remember, the court order, to go through it, doesn't link the health effects of cell phone towers to cancer as of now. It doesn't touch upon it at all. However, what we do know is that it's asked that cell phone tower to be shut down, even though the government of India and the Cellular Operators Association insist that there's nothing wrong with it, that there's no connection at all. There are no studies, they say, which prove this. And yet, the top court has ruled in their favor. We have other people, other victims of cancer who are now saying that this will be a precedent. But first, before I get to all the players, we also have the 42-year-old person and his lawyer joining us from Gwalior to talk about what it meant to fight this big fight with all the big telecom giants. But first, let's just hear how the government of India has responded to this judgment, because remember, this will have effect for everybody else. There are lots of people who are fighting against cell phone towers. Here's what Manoj Sinha said.
मुझे लगता है कि फाइनल डिसीजन सुप्रीम कोर्ट का नहीं है। फिलहाल टावर को बंद करने का एक निर्देश सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने दिया है, जिसका पालन बीएसएनएल कर रही है। हमारे देश में भी अनेक वैज्ञानिक संस्थाओं ने इस पर अध्ययन किए हैं और अभी तक कोई प्रमाण नहीं मिला है कि जो रेडिएशन इन बीटीएस से या टावर से होता है वो मानव के स्वास्थ्य पर कोई प्रतिकूल प्रभाव देता है। इसलिए किसी को चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है। तरंग करके एक पोर्टल हम लॉन्च कर रहे हैं। देश का कोई भी नागरिक किस टावर से कितना रेडिएशन होता है इसकी जानकारी प्राप्त कर सकेगा। 15 दिन के अंदर वो तरंग नाम का पोर्टल हम लॉन्च करने जा रहे हैं देशवासियों के लिए। लेकिन एक बात मैं आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि हमारे देश के जो नियम हैं वो 7 टाइम्स स्ट्रिंजेंट हैं दुनिया के दूसरे देशों में जो फॉलो हो रहा है। तो बहुत ही लो रेडिएशन है, इससे किसी भी मानव के स्वास्थ्य पर कोई कुप्रभाव नहीं पड़ने वाला है।
So we have the lawyer who fought for this, Nivedita Sharma, who joins us from Gwalior. We also have with us Preeti Kapoor, who lost her husband to cancer, and she wants to talk about what this order from Supreme Court means for her and other families like her who are fighting this cause. We have Rajan Matthews, who represents the Cellular Operators Association, which insists that there's nothing wrong. And we also have Dr. Devavrat Arya, an oncologist in the capital, joining us as well. We'll just speak to Nivedita, who has Harish Chand Tiwari also with her, the client and the person who fought with cancer and fought his case and won in Supreme Court. But before that, I just wanted to get the reaction of Rajan Matthews. Now, would you accept now something that many, because you know, I know where I stay as well, there's a cell phone tower, and I know my Residents Welfare Association has also petitioned the government because they believe there are cancer victims there and they believe the tower is responsible. And yet the government told them what the government told the Supreme Court, that the radiation levels were within safe zones. But isn't this now a vindication of the fight that many residents have been fighting against cell phone towers?
Not at all, because when you look at the particular case in point, there were 4 cases clubbed together by the Supreme Court. 2 of them also had a similar petition asking for the shutdown of towers, alleging a health risk. Gwalior was the one that also asked the same question. If the Supreme Court intended to opine that it was a health hazard, it would have shut down all of the towers. It only shut down this one tower and left standing the petitions and the tars in the other two petitions which had a similar allegation. So clearly, the Supreme Court is not opining on the health issue.
Then why did it shut it down?
Shut it down because part of the allegation was that it was illegal for whatever reason. All right? Okay, so in the petition you will notice, and hopefully the lawyer will say, yes, there was a cancer and they alleged other things in terms of the tar. And the court said, fine, look, it's one tar. There are similar tars alleging similar health hazards. We let them stand. And they instructed the Cellular Operators Association of India to come up with a full-fledged compendium of information that they will then review on July the 11th to determine.
No, just clarify that for us. They want that every tower which is there, for it to have a notice saying this is the kind of radiation it has. Things.
No, that is not. No, the point, that could be one reason why
just
it was
for our
concerned.
viewers, it's now been slated. The next hearing is in July, where we perhaps might see the Supreme Court expanding on all the reasons why it shut it down. Yes, go ahead.
Either shut it down or allowed it. But
Okay.
what I'd like for the viewers to also understand
Right.
that there are 8 High Court judgments, all right, that are here dealing with similar PILs, alleging health hazards, and they categorically, every one of them, have categorically dismissed any correlation between health hazards from mobile towers and cancer or any other health hazard.
Okay, that may be so, but these are 8 High Court judgments. This is the first Supreme Court judgment, so it is significant.
It's not a judgment, it's an interim order.
It's an interim order. Okay. Preeti Kapoor, you've heard what Rajan Matthews says as cell phone operators representative. Also, of course, we heard what Manoj Sinha also said. He said they're going to look into that, and they're going to set up a committee to look into all the kind of impact that this has. Preeti Kapoor, when you hear Rajan Matthews say it has nothing to do with it, but you hear also of Harish's case, the 42-year-old person who's just won this case against a cell phone tower which was right next door. Do you think about taking up your fight as well?
No, Mr. Matthews also knows now since 2012 we've been fighting with him. And since the Sanjay Kasriwal's case in Jaipur happened, he brought light to all of us because we had the towers.
So there are lots of families fighting.
Yeah, we had this about less than 40 meters from our house. And there were about 6-7 towers there. My husband, 69-year-old, who was fit, very good health, overnight developed lymphoma. And
how do you mean overnight? Like the cell phone tower was...
well, we had it for about 12 years, 14 years, aiming on us. And we didn't know what it was at that time till Mr. Kasriwal brought it up. And ever since then, Mr. Matthews also knows this is about the 4th time we've been trying to get him to, help us and bring it down. And then not only my husband, there was the one, the house on the left, the house on the right, the dhobi, the one at the back, all got cancer.
So, Ms. Kapoor, when they say, I'm hoping to go across to Gwalior to speak with the petitioner there. But when they say, when Government of India says we don't have any proof.
But it's like cigarette smoking. They never had any proof
for a long time.
People
Yes.
started dying. And now they'll keep saying that. And they all know there is something. I don't say don't have. We all can't do without phones. Even I'm carrying a cell phone,
Yes.
which is more dangerous than even the towers. All I say is the government has to make safety norms. That's all.
Which is not there right now.
Is not there. Even schools every school has got 5 towers opposite it, which is really criminal according to me.
Well, can we go across to Nivedita?
Hospitals, schools, everywhere they have it.
Right. I don't know if Nivedita, you can hear me, but I wanted you to respond. Okay, we're just going to go across to Nivedita in just a bit. But before that, Dr. Arya, I wanted to ask you, why is it, as an oncologist who's treating patients, do you believe that this is like smoking, that they have just not had the connection, made the connection yet, that there could be, because of the number of people who believe that there is a correlation?
First of all, let's place some facts on the table. Cell phone or towers and even cell phone waves are actually radio frequency waves. So these are non-ionizing radiations.
What does that mean?
So that means it's a very low energy radiation. Traditionally, it would not cause chemical changes, would not cause DNA damage, and therefore is not likely to be causing cancer.
Right.
Nevertheless, we don't know beyond prescribed energy limits whether there is a health impact, including cancer or not. I can just quote some studies. There have been a lot of laboratory studies, there have been human studies, and as of now, the evidence to suggest a causal link between radio frequency radiation emitted by cell phone towers or cell phones, there's no such causal link which has been proven. With the caveat that, like all carcinogens or cancer causing factors, you need to have a very long follow-up, and therefore there may in future, in future, be a causal link which is established.
So there could be, you're saying, and the fact that so many people believe they see a cell phone tower next to them, how would you explain that?
You know, so many 100 years ago, we all believed the world was flat and the sun went around the earth, and then we relied on scientific facts and processes to determine what was the truth. So you can see something and jump to a conclusion. The cock crows, the sun rises. Does the sun rise because the cock crows? That's the type of correlation that is misleading. All we are saying is that, listen, do the research. The courts are the umpires, in a sense, of this whole
in these
contested.
ones, what did people, how did the courts dismiss them?
So let me read to you the Honorable High Court of Allahabad, which was the 2016 order. Let me say that. All the experts have unanimously voiced their opinion that the present body of scientific research does not justify the threat to health and life as is sought to be portrayed by some quarters, including the petitioners. And it goes on. The same thing. You want me to read again from the High Court in, take the Honorable High Court in Madras. It said, there being no materials, at least as a date, which can finally suggest any health hazards from these towers, and the solution, therefore, the court would not venture into uncharted territory of technical expertise to determine the area where it should be installed. And so on and so forth. Every one of them, 8 of them, all of them opining that there is no scientific evidence to link health hazards with mobile towers.
So, Ms. Kapoor, how are people organizing themselves? How, you said Mr. Kejriwal came and told all of you about it. Is this an organized movement, and what impact do you see?
There's a whole movement in Bombay trying to fight against it, which have been quite successful. And even in Delhi, we all are trying, and even the court. There's a lot of mobile towers, even in Defence Colony itself, which were removed, which, like I said earlier, have them, but at least have the safety norms. You can't do without them.
So let me, if I can sort of give an example. You know, we all know that the emissions from cars are absolutely carcinogenic. There's no question. But we don't stop cars. We allow the government to say what is the health limit beyond which you can't emit. And as long as the cars follow the emission standards, nobody stops the car. So we are saying the government has set the appropriate health standard. We as an industry comply.
Okay, we're going to take a short break now. We're going to, after the break, stay with us, because we're going to be joined by the petitioners who won this major legal battle. They've got a cell phone tower shut down in Gwalior. Stay with us to meet that person. Welcome back on Agenda. We are talking about the landmark case in Supreme Court asking for a BSNL tower to be shut down after the petitioner went to court saying that he got cancer because he lived 50 meters close to a cell phone tower in Gwalior. We are now joined by the petitioner Nivedita, who's been fighting for her client Harish Tiwari. Nivedita, thanks very much for speaking to NDTV. We've just heard from the Cellular Operators Association that the court doesn't say that there is a link between the health risks and cell phone towers. But would you agree with that?
No, absolutely not, because I understand the cellular operators are coming from a standpoint where they cannot accept this truth. But my petition is very, very clear. The very clear averments that this person, Harish, has suffered cancer. He has been living in a house where there has been a tower since 2002. He's probably the only member of that household where he has lived continuously, and he's the one who suffered cancer. And these are my very specific allegations. And there is no question, the court has passed an interim order seeking, asking for disconnection based on those arguments and arguments.
So, Nivedita, can you please ask your client, I know he can't hear me, what he feels about winning this case in Supreme Court, where so many here have failed in high courts and all that. What does he feel about that? I know that he's fought cancer and he's been cancer free for a few years. So how does he feel about winning in Supreme Court?
No, not few years, 6 months, 6-8 months. हरीश, तुम सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ये केस जीते हो, इसके लिए तुमको कैसा फील होता है?
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है.
How did he do it? Does he want to tell us a little bit more about it? Like, you know, does he hope that everybody else, all other people like him, also win their cases?
कुछ और बोलिए.
क्या बोले?
तुम्हारे समान जो दूसरे लोग हैं जिनको कैंसर हो गया, उनके लिए तुम्हारा क्या विचार है?
उनको भी ऐसे मतलब ठीक होना चाहिए. जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ऑर्डर किया, हम केस जीत गए, बहुत अच्छा लगा. और ये टावर हट गया, ये इससे भी बहुत अच्छा है. इससे और बीमारियां फैलती और गरीब आदमी परेशान होते. इसलिए जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने आदेश दिया, ये बहुत अच्छा लगा.
Well, it's really an amazing fight, Nivedita. I just wanted to ask you, you know, one of the things that people are saying that the medical reports till now don't say anything about the link between cancer. We have an oncologist doctor also here. He's saying there is no link like that, no evidence till now. And also the one-page order, which I read, doesn't link the two very clearly. Is it because they are going to take it up further in July when the next hearing is?
You see, you have to understand how the court works. We have made an application for interim relief, and that application is based on the fact that the person is suffering from cancer. We have requested this court that this tower must be removed because there is a risk that he may again get cancer. He has 2 children and a wife living with him there. Children are very much more susceptible to cancer. However, there are 25,000 studies done across the world, out of which 50% have been funded by the telecom industry. Everybody knows that, and those studies do not clearly speak about any connection, but there are still 12,500 more studies worldwide on animals, birds, bees, vegetation and human beings, and they have very clearly stated there is a connect, that rays are harmful. And my personal view on this, based on a very in-depth research, is that... Pardon me?
Do you believe it will impact other cases, that this will become the precedent for other cases in other courts?
Absolutely, absolutely. You cannot even imagine how many people have called me. There are people from various parts of the country who've been calling me since last 2 days, saying that they have been fighting this. They have, for 13 years, somebody's fighting for 10 years, somebody's fighting for 14 years, and there are cases of 8, 10 people suffering from cancer within the vicinities of where they're living under the tower. It is unbelievable the number of people who have
very quick question.
Who are suffering from cancer because they are close to the tower.
Okay, what did you want to ask?
We are often advised not to carry mobile phones in our shirt's pocket close to heart, as it may cause a heart attack or other heart-related problems. So how far do you think is that true?
Dr. Arya?
Again, I think no causal evidence to suggest a linkage between any medical disorder and cell phone usage as of now. But yes, the maximum absorption of any radiation that a cell phone emits is to the part closest.
Okay.
Right.
Now, I know that this case, we are totally out of time. We've heard from the cellular operators who insist, like the government of India, that there is no kind of impact. But there we have Harish Chand Tiwari there, who has beaten cancer, and we hope you, all of us hope that you stay healthy, and congratulations on this major win. And it's a story that the country will be watching when it comes up in July as well. Thanks so much, Nivedita and Harish Tiwari. Thanks to all our guests as well for making this stand clear. This is a case which all of us will be watching. That's it on Agenda. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.